At the light, turn left onto East 73rd Street.
Now, St. Paul Church of God in Christ holds just rich memories for me. Some are tough. My mom and dad, of course, I wasn't born yet, but they were married at St. Paul Church of God in Christ. Then, of course, my dad, he passed. I told you he died when I was young and very young. And his funeral, I'll never forget that funeral, man. I'll never forget that funeral. His funeral was at St. Paul.
Turn right onto South State Street.
Church of God in Christ. And then, I keep saying Church of God in Christ. I want y'all to know what this is. This is not a Methodist video. This is Church of God in Christ. I ain't going against nobody. Then, after that, my wife and I, we were married at St. Paul. I had my wedding there, and that was my first interaction with Bishop Lewis Henry Ford. My wife and I, we were young kids, if you will, and we wanted to have the wedding at St. Paul, and my granddad had called and told him, and he was like, oh yeah, but tell them to come here and see me. And so my wife and I, at the time, girlfriend of course, but we went to see Bishop Ford in his office. He sat across from that desk, and he said to us, he said, now what are you all gonna be doing? And we told him we want to have a wedding, and so on and so on and so on. He said to me, he said, what kind of music y'all gonna be playing? You know, this is a church. We don't play, it's a church. And we was like, yes sir, Bishop Ford, it's gonna be church. It's gonna be church music. And then he said, and I don't want y'all throwing no rice. Don't throw no rice. Because you throw rice, you can't hardly get that cleaned up. And he had a way of shaking his head, and we was like, well, no, sir, we're not gonna throw no rice. And when you know, we finally left that day, I'll never forget, my wife and I was thinking, man, this guy is rough. And I only learned later, as a pastor and as a bishop even, that he wasn't being so much mean as he was making sure you didn't get confused about what was going on, that we wasn't getting ready to be throwing no rice, you wasn't getting ready to be throwing no party up in his church. And so I had blessed memories of Bishop Lewis Henry Ford. He would often just check in on me. Now, we weren't no running buddies. He was 3 times my senior at least, so it wasn't like we were running buddies. But him and my grandfather, Dr. Isaac Favors, they were always great friends. And as a result, he would from time to time just check in on me. Hey son, how's the church? You know. And I said, we do it all right, Bishop. Oh, good. And that would be about the end of the conversation, you know.
Use the left lane.
But thank God for him and his life and his legacy. So I want to take you by St. Paul, and I want to say hi to Pastor Ford that's going to see this video. I'm just going to wave at you, but I want to take you by St. Paul so that you can see one of the iconic churches of Illinois, one of the churches that really has been a guidepost, if you will, and has helped the Church of God in Christ, its growth and its continuity here in Illinois. Bishop Ford was a phenomenal leader, and as we know, he became the presiding bishop of the Churches of God in Christ in all the world. So in just a few moments, I'm going to take you to see him. Well, not him. I'm going to take you to see his church. If I take you to see him, if you see him, let me know where you see him. I'm going the other direction. I'm going to take you to see this church. It's an iconic church, and it's pastored by another one of the Ford family members. The Fords and I grew up together, the grandkids anyway. We have very fond memories one of another as well. And the Church of God in Christ, as we're bypassing a lot of churches to go to St. Paul, there are a lot of churches, Church of God in Christ, that we're going to pass. We're passing 55th Street, one of the great iconic churches. If you get off on 55th, you make a right. It's going to be the Life Center, Administrative Assistant T.L. Barrett, another one of the well-known names and brethren of our church. We just passed Maranatha Church of God in Christ. That's Pastor LaFlora. There's so many wonderful ministries and ministry gifts to be spoken of when you start to speak about the Church of God in Christ here in Illinois. We're just naming a few that's coming to me off the top of my head on the way to St. Paul Church of God in Christ. This is a really wonderful history. The last time that I was at St. Paul was to celebrate the one who would become mayor, Brandon Johnson.
Then merge onto South Wentworth Avenue.
I'm about to miss my exit, talking so much. I hope they'll let me over. I don't know if they will or not. Thank you. We would celebrate who would become mayor, Brandon Johnson, and thank God for him.
1,000 feet, merge onto South Wentworth Avenue.
Certainly we celebrate him. The last time I walked through St. Paul with someone, and it was really interesting. Of course, at that time, Bishop Charles Ford was alive, and Bishop Charles Blake was the presiding bishop of the Churches of God in Christ at that time. And I had with me the Honorable Alexander J.B., who was the Consulate General for Liberia. And we were able to pick up Bishop Blake and go by St. Paul Church of God in Christ. And when we did that, one of the most amazing moments that I've seen, we went and we were looking for the pastor, not Bishop Ford, but Elder Charles Ford. We were looking for the pastor, and he wasn't there, but the church doors were open. And so we went in, and it was just me, Bishop Blake, Bishop Charles E. Blake, and Bishop, the Honorable Alexander J.B. And we stood as Bishop Blake went to the altar and got on his knees and prayed in that church and asked the Lord to bless this work and to bless this ministry. Not that I didn't already respect Bishop Blake, but my respect level for him went to a totally different level when I saw him do that. There was no big crowd, no big show. It was just me, Bishop Blake, Alexander Bay, and he was on his knees praying and asking the Lord to bless this church. And then we left and went from there to another church. What an experience that was on that day. That was tremendous. Thank God for this iconic church. I have pictures with part of my family and Bishop Ford. I'm sure someone else has these pictures, but for me, they're very special because they're pictures that represent my family and show that we are part of this great legacy, this great history, this Church of God in Christ. Here we are. Here we are.
Is on the left.
St. Paul Church of God in Christ. I'm going to turn around because I want you to get it. Now, if I do a U-turn, I don't want y'all to report me. Of course, if you report me, by the time you see this video, it won't make a difference. This is the parking lot for the great St. Paul Church of God in Christ. One of the iconic churches of not just the Church of God in Christ, but one of the iconic churches here in Illinois, period. It has a lot of rich history, a lot of ministries, a lot of vision was birthed out of this church. God bless the St. Paul Church of God in Christ. Here we are. Man, I have a picture standing right here with me and Bishop Blake at this church. And I tell you what, I have some other pictures. I have a picture of my great I think it's my great uncle, Elder P.R. Favors. He and Bishop L.H. Ford, and Bishop C.H. Mason. What a phenomenal picture. I want to show it to you. I don't know if I can or not. Let me see if I can reach it. I want to show it to you. This is a picture. And in this picture, this is